Welcome to Kote Helicopter Explainer, where we are dealing with it wearing tracksuits, trying to convince you to run away from crime. It is time to take up that challenge, run away from crime, because the law we are bringing to you tells you how bad crime is. Section 46 of the Penal Code provides for the question about desertion. Samido, the Mugithi one-man guitar, the famous Mugithi guy, the author of the one-term and two-term slow political slogans, a man with a lot of following, who was in the police force, left to the US, he never came back. Then one morning, Court Helicopter reports that the IG has declared him a deserter. And people are mad with Court Helicopter. Why? How can Samido be a deserter? If he has left the job, why will he be followed? The law is different. In disciplined forces, in the army, in the police force, you cannot leave the work without due process. If you assist, or if you assisted Samido, these are the consequences. What does inducing desertion is? Any person who, by any means whatsoever, directly or indirectly, A, procures or persuades or attempts to procure or persuade an officer to desert. So if you try to procure a police officer or a military officer to desert, you are aiding in desertion. 2, if one aids or abets or is an accessory to the desertion, if you condone, if you assist a police officer to desert duty, if you assist a military officer to desert duty. C, if having reason to believe he is a deserter, you harbor him. If you kept Samido in your bedroom and is a deserter, if you keep a military man in your house who has run away from the barracks, my friend, and this one, the girlfriends, my sisters, your man will come hiding in your house and he tells you, don't tell anybody, I'm hiding here, I have deserted the army. You are aiding in deserting of duty. Or you aid in concealing any member of the military force of Kenya or any police officer. You are guilty of a misdemeanor and you are liable to imprisonment for 6 months. So don't keep any deserter, whether he's a DCI officer, whether he's a police officer, whether he's a traffic police officer, whether he's a Navy officer, whether he's an Air Force officer, or whether he's an Army officer. That is aiding. So, next time when Samido deserts, but now he resigned, he's my good friend, and there is no reason why Samido now is a deserter. There is a procedure. You have got to resign, and the relevant army headquarters must agree. The police, if you want to leave the police force, the Inspector General must accept. If you don't do that, you are declared a deserter. 50, aiding prisoners of war to escape. Now this is where we are concerned. How do you aid a prisoner of war? Prisoners of war like Maduro. Maduro has declared himself a prisoner of war. How will you get arrested for helping a prisoner of war? The law says, any person who knowingly and advisedly aids an alien enemy being a prisoner of war in Kenya, whether the prisoner is confined in a prison or elsewhere, commits a felony and is liable for imprisonment for life. So if Maduro was captured into this country as a prisoner of war, and you assist that prisoner of war to escape, if If we are fighting with Uganda, Kenyan military people capture Ugandan soldiers. They detain them here. We capture Tanzanian soldiers. We detain them here. Then you assist that prisoner of war to escape back to his country. He'll come here. He'll marry you. He'll decide whether he's confined or not confined. If you assist a prisoner of war, you will go in for life imprisonment. Then we have publications. The power to prohibit publication. If there are publications in this country that are prohibited by the minister of security or any minister concerned, for example, where the minister on reasonable grounds considers that it is necessary in the interest of public order, health, or morals, the security of Kenya, and to be reasonably justified in a democratic society, the minister may order, published in the Gazette, prohibit the importation or publication of any of the publications. So, if the minister has put in the Kenya Gazette any prohibited publication, not to be imported, not to be published, not to be manufactured, if you publish any of those, you are committing an offense, and in section 53, you will go in for a period not exceeding 3 years. So any form of publication, there are many. For example, issues of pornography, issues of these things being published all over, you will be found, and under section 54, the government will seize and dispose of those publications. Then we have oaths. We are heading to the elections. Have you been told to take an oath? Aki, kula mbuzi. Chukua mbuzi, matumbo ya mbuzi. You take an oath to remove the president, to do this. Do you know you are not allowed to take an oath? But what is wrong with my oath? It is me taking my oath. What does the law say? Unlawful oaths to commit other offenses. That's administration of unlawful oaths to commit capital offenses. Any person who administers an oath or engagement in the nature of an oath purporting to bind the person who takes it to commit any offense punishable with death is guilty of felony and shall be sentenced to death. So, if you are administering an oath to somebody, that take this oath, you take the oath that you are going to kill Danstan Omari. You don't like his arguments in court. If anybody administers an oath for somebody to go and commit an offense, how does this one come in? People want you to be murdered. They go and look for a hitman, a killer woman. They pay, they negotiate the price. And that person is told, we'll give you 10 million shillings, go and kill that person. But you have got to take an oath that you are going to do it. And if you don't kill him, this oath will kill you. If you are the administrator of that oath, you will be sentenced to death. 2. 61. Unlawful oaths to commit other offenses. Any person who administers an oath for a person to commit other offenses, for example, to get people to do a mutiny, you give an oath to the military or to the police. Take this oath. You'll never take orders from the Inspector General of Police. take this oath, you'll never take orders from the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. 2, to commit any other offenses or to disturb the public peace. You hire goons and you tell them to take an oath to make sure the funeral does not proceed. You make sure the political rally does not proceed by administering an oath. And others, all these ones, if you are found to have done this, you are guilty of an offense and you'll be liable for imprisonment for 10 years. Section 62 looks at if you compel somebody to take an oath at gunpoint by force. You say, if you don't take this oath, I'll kill you. Our tribe is endangered. We must take an oath to defend our tribe. We must take an oath to defend our gender. We must take an oath to defend our things. If you compel somebody, you will be sentenced to 7 years. If you compel somebody, or 10 years. Then we have the presence of oath administration. Section 64, it must be issues. Section 66, 65 is unlawful drilling. If you train people without authority of the minister, military drills, police drills. Do you know you cannot get young people and start training them to march like police officers? Have you ever known that scouts are licensed to do drills? If you are not a scout, you cannot train those drills. NYS is allowed to train the drills. Nobody is allowed to engage in marching drills unless you are in the disciplined forces. So, if you are found drilling people on how to march, on how to fire guns, on how to use weapons, you'll be jailed for 7 years. Any person who is found having been trained, if you are the one who was trained to march like a policeman and do those things, you'll go in as a misdemeanor because you might not have known. Then we have section 66, alarming publications. Have you published an alarming publication that is not true? Gen Z, listen to this. What does it say? Any person who publishes any false statement, rumor, or a report which is likely to cause fear and alarm to the public or to disturb the public peace is guilty of a misdemeanor. So, it shall be a defense. Listen, it shall be a defense of that charge if the accused proves that prior to the publication, he took such measure to verify the accuracy of the statement, rumor, or report as to lead him reasonably to believe that it was true. You must show you tried to verify whether that publication was true. So today, you know, stop posting things on your Facebook account. Stop posting any information before you verify. You just say so and so has died. You have no facts. That is false publication. You just say the government of the Republic of Tanzania has been overthrown. That is false publication. You must verify before you publish, or else you'll go in for a misdemeanor, as I've said, as the law says. So those are offenses under chapter. We have looked at the offenses under the Penal Code, chapter that deals with the presidency, and that marks the end of these very interesting Part 2 crimes. Chapter 7, We are dealing with treason and allied offenses. We shall be moving to the next phase of the Penal Code, that is Chapter 8, offenses affecting relationship with foreign states and external tranquility. Do you know you can commit an offense that affects our relationship with neighboring countries and other countries? Do you know the offenses that can destabilize the regional peace, international peace? Keep watching Wakili Danstan Omari, bringing it to you live with a caution. Put on not your dancing shoes, your dancing clothes. Put on your sports shoes to run away from crime, and know that crime doesn't pay. Crime, remember the first principle, Section 7 of the Penal Code provides for defense. Can you say, me, I didn't know? I didn't know. Is failure to know a defense against an offense? Chapter 4, the general rules of criminal responsibility. Ignorance of the law. You will always say, me, I didn't know. What does ignorance of the law say? Ignorance of the law does not afford any excuse for any act or omission which would otherwise constitute an offense, unless knowledge of the law by the offender is expressly declared. So the fact that you don't know, that is no defense. Now Court and Copter brings it to you. Remember, under Court and Copter, we brought it to you, the Constitution, the whole of it, because Baba and Kibaki had died. Now we have gone and checked Section 7 of the Penal Code, which says ignorance of the law is no defense when you commit a crime. Court and Copter brings it to you. No more ignorance of the law. No more ignorance of the law. What is the solution? Run away from the crime by getting your running shoes away from the crime, because ignorance of the law is no defense in a court of law. Wakili Danstan Omari, see you and have a happy and fantastic new year.